Okay, so my countdown to Spider-Man Homecoming has begun. So now we are on the first of Sam Raimi's trilogy and the very first live action Spider-Man movie ever. So with that all being said, there may be spoilers mentioned in this review, so if you have not seen the movie, don't watch this video. I'm warning you. Okay, now here we go. Now, when the trailers started coming out, I was really looking forward to this movie. I was really looking forward to it. After the Saturday morning cartoon from the 90s and the video games that I've played in the 90s, you know, that all, you know, that basically, you know, helped develop me as a Spider-Man fan. So by the time this movie was, you know, getting ready to drop, I was already I already considered myself a fan, and this movie made me an even bigger fan of Spider-Man. And you know, everyone did, you know, the whole cast did great. I mean, they were all phenomenal. I mean, like, Tobey Maguire, I didn't really see any of his movies before this one, so I didn't really think, oh, he's a bad choice or whatever. I just had the confidence, and I had faith, and I trusted the studio that they chose the right guy to don on the Spider-Man mask, you know what I mean? So I was pretty confident. And then Kirsten Dunst, I was like, an interesting choice. I don't know who I would have chosen at that time, but she did way better than I thought she was going to. And James Franco, I mean, this is where his movie career started to escalate. I saw him in one other movie where he was not really that well known. And I forgot he was in that Freaks and Geeks show or whatever. I never really watched it, but I only saw him in one other movie before this one. It was a chick flick, and I forgot the name of it. But he did a great job as Harry Osborn, Willem Dafoe. I mean, like, I never had anything against the Green Goblin, but he was never really one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. But when I heard that he was the Green Goblin, and then I'm like, you know what? From what I know of the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn, I think he can pull it off, and he pulled it off magnificently. I mean, the way he separates the two characters, it's great, you know, especially when they're talking to each other. I mean, it is fantastic. I mean, like when he's not talking to the Goblin, you know, it feels like he's running the show, he's calling the shots, like, you know, like from what he's about to do. And then when it comes back to him talking to the Goblin, he's basically his little bitch, like, I don't know what to do, and he's like, ha 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 ha. So that was done pretty good too. And Rosemary Harris, man, it's like they took her and ripped her out of the pages of the comics, the way, you know, Aunt May was, you know, meant to be portrayed, you know, like over the years. So she did a fantastic job in that. And J.K. Simmons, man, I mean, when he came on screen and you heard his voice and you see him, like, what? It's like they ripped him out of the pages too. Like, wow. I mean, they picked a fantastic choice for J. Jonah Jameson. I mean, like, I just loved it. You know, like when he was like, who is Spider-Man? He's a criminal, that's who he is. Like, it was fucking great. I mean, everyone was great. And I had no problem with Spider-Man having organic web shooters where he can, basically the spider bite gave him the ability to shoot webs out of his wrist rather than him making web shooters, you know, like to put in the suit. I mean, I actually had no problem with that. I was like, cool. You know, why not give him that ability too? You know, he can crawl on walls and leap from building to building. Why not, you know, be able to shoot web out of his wrist? I thought it was pretty cool. And that was really funny. That was really funny how he tried to get his web shooters to work, where he's like, go web! Ow, I slapped myself. Fuck. Where he's like, go web, especially where he gets to here, he's like, go web, go! It makes me laugh every time that scene comes up. And when it gets to his Uncle Ben's death, I mean, like when it gets to that, when they have that talk about great power and great responsibility, and basically he shuts him down and spits in his face by saying, stop lecturing me and stop pretending to be my father. And that was really probably the most heartbreaking, you know, like way that they went about, you know what I mean, with you know, like with, you know, where he is trying to where Uncle Ben tries to talk to Peter, and Peter basically doesn't really doesn't pay him any mind at all. He just is shrugging him off. He's just thinking about trying to impress Mary Jane and get that money and whatever. So that's all. That's the first thing he tries to do with his superpowers, and then he works the hard way when he had the chance to stop the robber who killed his Uncle Ben. He just let him run past him. He just didn't bother, stopping him or anything. And that's where it really, like that all came back on him, and it broke his heart more than it broke his Uncle Ben's heart when he basically told him to stop pretending to be his father. And the more I think back on it, the more heartbreaking it gets. I mean, like, back then I thought, that's pretty cold. But now I'm just like, man, I mean, my heart aches every time that scene comes up. Like, where they have that talk, and then they have that last moment together, like, right before his Uncle Ben died. And you can feel that it pushes him towards that greater responsibility, like, where he uses his powers to basically make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else again. And I liked how they did not introduce his suit right away, like where it was like a stepping stone to that, where he's wearing like pajamas or whatever, like in the wrestling match. I'm glad how I loved how Sam Raimi held that off. Like when we actually see the actual suit, it was a very epic, iconic moment where we're just like, yes! Like in Superman, in the Richard Donner version, the Christopher Reeve version, where when you see him as Superman for the very first time in the movie, it's epic, and they gave this that same kind of treatment, and I just loved it when that finally happened. And man, but I mean, I didn't really have any problems with the movie like over the years, but I mean, there were minor nitpicks. I mean, like where his spider sense could have picked up a couple things a little bit more, where his spider sense could have went off just a little bit more, especially when he was fighting the Green Goblin in the burning building, like where his spider sense should have picked up that there was danger nearby, and he basically dodged one of his attacks, and then he still knocked him on his ass or whatever, something like that. I mean, just minor nitpicks. And I didn't mind the cheesy extras that they had in the movie. I thought it worked. It basically fit the tone of the movie for me. And I liked how they had a nice little homage with the parade, and like when Batman, when they had a parade, and then shit went and this shit went down, and then shit went down in this movie too. So it was great. Almost, I can't figure out which one I like more, the parade scene in Batman or the parade scene in this movie. I don't know. I mean, they're both done really well, so it's up for debate. But I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I had a really great time with this movie, and the more it got closer to this movie coming out, like, the higher my hype meter went, and it was dangerously high to where I could have been really disappointed if they didn't do this well. And it was done magnificently, and by the time the movie ended, I wanted more of Spider-Man. I was like, ugh, don't end yet, give me more Spider-Man. Ugh. And I do like, and I loved how they had that big brutal throwdown at the end of the movie, like Spider-Man and Green Goblin, and it was magnificent. I mean, like, when it got really brutal to where Spider-Man's suit is all torn up and he throws a bomb in his face and it didn't do anything other than tear up his suit, and how he punches him in the face, and then it knocks the sweat off of his face, and it is freaking brutal. I mean, I just loved how that was done, and it sets up the tone, like when the Goblin kills himself, and when he tries to attack Spider-Man with the glider, and then it just hits him instead. Like where when Harry sees that Spider-Man putting his body in there and thinking that he killed him, and that sets up the tone for the sequel. And yeah, I mean, that puts Peter in a very difficult position, and I liked how they set that up. And And I do like how, like, I didn't mind the minor changes they made in the story, like with Peter and Mary Jane, where they known each other since they were little babies, and they grew up, and they basically grew up, I guess, around each other, or like as neighbors or whatever. But I'm pretty sure that did not happen in the comics, where they've known each other that long. But maybe in some versions it did, and I don't know. But I didn't read all the comics. But I'm pretty sure that they were basically teenagers when they met, I think. But I didn't mind it, I didn't mind it. And and they had awesome chemistry. Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, they had definitely it was epic. It was freaking epic. And I'm not gonna lie, I understood why Peter shut down Mary Jane at the end of the movie, but I was pissed off with him. Like, I get it, it's great responsibility, but damn, I was still pissed off with him. Like, when that came on, I'm like, really, Peter, really? I mean, I understood. I mean, the more I watched it, the more I understood. I mean, he doesn't want to put her in that much danger again. I mean, I definitely get that, because, the Goblin figured out that he was Spider-Man, and then, he doesn't want to take that chance again. So I understand. But yeah, I mean, this was a great movie. It lived up to my expectations, and I wanted a sequel right away, right after I saw that, and I wanted to see it again and again and again and again and again. And with that all being said, this gets 4.5 chair spins out of 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 chair spins. So now I'm on to part 2. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed my review on this movie, make sure you thumb up the video and click subscribe if you're a newbie to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.